All right. So here's what's going on in the news right now. Biden and McCarthy are meeting together. They're meeting officers to try to have a deal to happen on this debt ceiling. Can I just be real with y'all right now? I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be real with you right now. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't even fully understand the debt ceiling, but the truth is they're going to figure something out. They're going to get something figured out. All of this is fear porn. That's all it is trying to scare you to death. But the reality is this, they're not going to default on this. They're not going to default. But let me just tell you right now, they're going to figure out a way to make this happen. Let's read this. President Joe Biden sits next to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And of course, we know they pretend to be enemies. It's called the uniparty, y'all. There's a uniparty. It's not just one party. We all know that. It's the uniparty. And the uniparty is, there is no really Republicans and Democrats. They both ultimately are all after one thing. And the one thing that they are after is that they are after power. They want to keep power in place. Now, over the weekend, negotiations between representatives from each side stalled as both doubled down on their demands. Representative Garrett Graves, the lead negotiator for Republicans, told reporters on May 19th that Biden's negotiators were being unreasonable. The president told reporters on May 21st, now it's time for the other side, listen to what they said, for the other side to move from their extreme position, because much of what they've already proposed is simply, quite frankly, unacceptable. Biden spoke from, get this, of all places, Hiroshima, Japan, where he is attending the G7 summit. Later on, May 21st, the two men spoke by phone and agreed to meet the next day. Following the call, McCarthy told reporters that the call was productive. Well, imagine that. I think we can solve these problems. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the truth. There is no problems. There is no problems to solve. They know they are going to agree to a deal. They know that. And I'm just telling you right now, don't believe this hype that there are these negotiations, that they're so far away from each other. That is not true. They are going to get together and they are going to get a deal, and it's going to be right in the nick of time, and both sides are going to do just enough so that they can say, you know, I was trying my best to get it done, but they kept neglecting us. They kept neglecting the country. They don't care about your Social Security. They don't care about this and they don't care about that. It's a bunch of baloney, y'all. It's just a bunch of baloney. It is not real. It is play. It is play. It is show. It is not real. I don't trust any of them. Okay. So when you start hearing about, you know, will they reach a deal? Will we default? All these horrible things that are going to happen when we default. You know, it's just going to be unbelievable that, policemen are not going to be paid and firemen are not going to be paid. It's ridiculous. It's not true. It's not true. Listen to me. Listen to the big picture. Listen to me. Listen to Pastor Larry Ragland. Okay, I'm trying to preach to you right now. It ain't true. They're going to work it out. They're not going to default. I promise you that. Now, there's all kinds of talk going on. Let me just move some stuff around here so I can manage this a little bit better since I'm doing it by myself. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now. And one of the things that's going on right now that has nothing to do with the debt ceiling, that has to do with Speaker McCarthy, is that he says the FBI is ready to turn over damning document alleging criminal bribery scheme involving Joe Biden. Then FBI tells him to pound sand. Okay, so Speaker McCarthy says the FBI is ready to turn over damning documents alleging criminal bribery from the Biden family. We've all heard the stuff about the laptop. We've all heard the stuff about family members, brothers and sons, and even grandchildren having money transferred from China and other nations into the Biden family. I forgot how many it was, but just like 15, 20, maybe even more than that, LLCs were created to bring money through the system. That's what's going on. But here's McCarthy. They got the evidence. They got they listen. They had the laptop. The FBI had the laptop a year before any of us even heard that it even existed. They've done nothing with it. All this stuff is going on. Now you can get mad at me that I'm trying to be political, but the reality is this. On Friday, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer wrote the FBI demanding that they turn over a document alleging a bribery scheme involving then Vice President Joe Biden. The document in question is not classified. And James Comer demands the FBI produce the unclassified record alleging a criminal bribery scheme involving then Vice President Joe Biden and a foreign national. The FBI must provide this record without further delay. Americans demand the truth and accountability. Well, on Sunday, the FBI, he said that on Sunday that the FBI is poised to turn over these documents. But watch what happens. But later today, the FBI told Republicans to pound sand. The agency penned a letter to Comer. They will not be turning over the document. In case you haven't noticed, the FBI is a completely lawless organization. So it goes on to say that the FBI says they will not cooperate. Well, here's the question. I think the same question that you're asking is the same question I'm asking. Why? Why is it that the FBI and this is not a pro-Trump channel, by the way. This is not an anti-Biden, pro-Trump. This is not a pro-Republican, anti-Democrat. I know some of you think it is. I don't vote for the party, for the man. If I'm going to choose the lesser of the evils, I'm going to look at the platform, okay? What is the platform? Are you pro-life? Are you pro-traditional family? Are you less taxes? Are you pro-freedom? Are you pro-mandates? Are you anti-mandates? Are you woke or are you awake? That's who I'm going to vote for, okay? That's who I'm going to vote for. So don't come at me saying that this is just a Republican channel and that, blah, 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 blah. It's not. But I'm going to call a spade a spade. Here's the reality. You have 4 years of a sitting president continuously investigated, continuously said on the media outlets all around the world that he was compromised by Russia, and the FBI had documents and dossiers and all these different kinds of things. Well, guess what? The Durham report just came out. All of it was a lie. I'm sorry. You heard Russia, 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 and Trump used to mock him all the time, and he said it's all a hoax. Well, guess what? Turned out to be a hoax. But yet millions and millions, who knows, maybe even $1 billion, but tens of millions of dollars at least were spent on a lie. But we have evidence, and that same FBI will not provide that evidence. So you ask yourself, what is going on? It is the reason they wanted to destroy him and still want to destroy him, and anybody like him. If DeSantis, calls out the swamp and all these kind of things, because it is a swamp. Hey, I'm in Florida right now, where the swamps are. Okay, the people know swamps down here, and there's a lot of weird stuff grows in the swamp. A lot of weird stuff. A lot of stuff crawling around. You don't want to be walking around in the swamp because something's going to get you. Well, up there in Washington, there's a swamp. Democrats and Republicans are just devouring anybody that would try to mess up their system. Their system. Okay? They got a system. They go up there under the guise, they promote themselves, they run for office, that they're for the people. But guess what happens? They get corrupted and it turns into a career. Well, speaking of Biden, let's continue to speak of the Biden. The reason I say speak of Biden is because he is in power. He is the administration. Biden this week is in Hiroshima, Japan, at what is known as the G7 summit. These are the 7 wealthiest countries. Supposedly, when it first started, it was, but guess what? They're not the 7 wealthiest countries anymore because China and Russia are not involved in it. And China is, depending on what you read, what chart you read, is either the number 1 economy in the world or at least number 2 behind America. But they're at the G7 conference there. It says most allies are clear. Listen to this. While this blows my mind. While we just committed more and more money, billions of dollars, to the Ukrainian war, this is what was said at the G7 summit. most U.S. allies clear, quote, there would be a response if China takes action against Taiwan. What have we been telling you right here on the big picture? Sandy and I, over and over and over again, keep reminding you, most everything that you're reading in the news right now is a distraction from what you really should be knowing about, and that is China. China is taking over the world. China is the number one threat to freedom. It's the number one threat to the US dollar. It's the number one threat to our economy. Not only our economy, but Europe's economy and the economies of the world. They are a threat to freedom. Let us not forget that China is a communist country. They are not a socialist country, which is pretty bad in itself. They are a communist country, ladies and gentlemen, a communist country. But they're getting ready to go to war because they believe that Taiwan belongs to them. At the G7 summit, President Joe Biden told a reporter that most U.S. allies are clear that if China were to try to invade Taiwan, there would be a response. Biden was asked by a reporter on Sunday how he would manage a diplomatic relationship with China and how he would strengthen the U.S. alliance with other countries like Japan and South Korea in order to counter China. In a part of his response, Biden noted that the United States will continue to maintain the Chinese Communist Party's one China policy. Quote, now you all know the public kind of forgets that the one China policy says that neither country, China or Taiwan, neither territory can independently declare that what they're going to do, period. There has to be a mutually agreed outcome, Biden said. So the United States is sticking by that. We're not going to tell China what they can do. We're not going to tell China what they can do. We made it clear that we don't expect Taiwan to declare independence either. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to put Taiwan in a position so that they can defend themselves. Are you hearing this? And there is clear understanding among most of our allies that is, in fact, if China were to act unilaterally, there would be a response. There would be a response. Well, first of all, he's just reading the teleprompter. We all know that. But right here on the big picture, several weeks ago, not that long ago, we reported a leak that came out from the United States Air Force. One of the generals had sent a memo to about 20 or 30 of his underlings. And this memo got leaked and was verified, by the way, from the Air Force as being a legitimate memo. Of course, they said this was just this general's opinion. But this general said, we are preparing internally. And we know, and he said, in my gut, I have a feeling that we will be at war with China by 2024, the fall of 2024, early 25. He goes on to say in that memo that the reason that they're going to wait to invade Taiwan into 2024 is because they know we will be completely consumed by the election. We will, the world, and of course the people on the left will be so engulfed in trying to destroy Trump that they will not care anything about it. And that's what they said. He said, we will be at war. He said, I hope I'm wrong, but in my gut, I believe we're going to war. Well, what are we going to do, ladies and gentlemen? That's why you come to the big picture. You want to hear facts. You want to hear somebody talking plain to you. Well, let me talk plain to you. We are so stretched. We have put so much resources into Ukraine. Now what Biden was saying is we're going to provide what we need to provide to Taiwan to protect them. We're going to insert ourselves by proxy into a war with China, which is going to pull us into it. And then just like what we're doing in the Ukraine, there are things going on all around this world, ladies and gentlemen, while our economy is tanking. Our people are suffering. Our veterans are suffering. Our military is suffering. We are being distracted by faces on Bud Light beer and trans this and drag queen that, while wars and rumors of wars are happening all around the world. Are you still with me? If you're still with me, hit that like button. Nothing helps us more to get in front of people, new people, than that like button. And as I said, if you're just not coming on, you have no idea the chaos. If you're looking down below, where's Sandy? Where's Sandy? She is somewhere in an undisclosed location. She's been moved to an undisclosed location uh, for her safety. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Let's move on. So speaking of Ukraine, look at this. Where is Zelensky? I don't know how to say it. Zalazini. Zalazini? Is that right? Zalazini? Where is Zalazini? Ukrainian, watch this. This ain't just some guy in the military. Commander-in-chief, the #1 leader in the Ukrainian army, is MIA. He's missing in action. He hasn't been seen in weeks. The leader of the Ukrainian war hasn't been seen in weeks. Russian sources suggest he may have been injured in bombardment. Kiev, without main general ahead of hyped counteroffensive. We've been hearing all about this spring offensive that Ukraine has been waiting, just trying to stay alive until they can do the spring offensive. A big mystery is unfolding right now in the Ukrainian war. Where in the blank is Valery Zelensky? I'm just going to call him Zelensky. And I know that's not right, but I'm going to call him that. The commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army hasn't been seen in weeks, fueling speculations about where his whereabouts are and the reason for his sudden disappearance. The rumors started in Russian Telegram channels, but now news outlets are reporting it as well, referencing a viral message from the hacker group Joker DPR. And of course, it says the general was seriously wounded in early May during a missile attack on the headquarters of armed forces of Ukraine near Pavlograd. I ain't going to attempt that region, okay? You can read it on the screen. Several severe surgical operations were carried out, after which, if he survives, he will definitely not be able to adequately manage the army. So, we're pumping money. I'm not going to read it, but here's the gist of it. It's basically saying we are sending a ton of money and to an army. And I'm not saying that against the Ukrainian people. I'm not saying that this is not a legitimate war that Russia needs to be defeated on. But here's the reality. What we are seeing on the news and what we are hearing from this administration is not what people that are on the ground are saying. It is not what is actually being said is happening. Ukraine is in trouble. Russia is winning this war. And no matter how much money the world is sending to Ukraine, Russia is winning this war. And now we have the leader of the Ukrainian army missing in action. Some significant coincidences also arose that may shed some light on the fate of Ukraine's top commander. The head of the administration confirms on Iskander, why can't they make their words easier? Missile strike on the SBU's advanced headquarters in the city of Pavlograd on May 8th. Also on May 8th, Alina, employee of the Ukrainian National Military Medical Clinical Center, reports a, quote, important person with serious injuries had been admitted to their hospital. Some sources presume that person is Zalazini. And this is, of course, him right here. Says this is right before the war, on the left, his suspicious latest appearance via video conference. So why are we covering this particular news thing? It is because you've got to understand billions of dollars are being poured into this military. And just this week, our military and European Union at the G7 summit in Hiroshima, Japan, committed warplanes. See, we have been sending things on the ground, but now we are committed to sending warplanes to Ukraine while we're getting ready to fight a war with China. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the reality of what is going on in the Ukrainian war. I hope the Ukrainian people win. I hope the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian military rises up and ends this thing. But here's the big picture truth. It's not looking good. And what you're being told that is happening in the Ukrainian-Russian war is not what is really happening. People are dying every day. There are some reports that over 1 million, it's just a rumor, but over 1 million Ukrainians have been killed, and that the average life expectancy of a young Ukrainian boy that is put into the military, listen, this is what I was told this week, this is what I heard from several people, is hours. They're being pulled out, put into the field, and their lives are being taken. We have no idea how many people have been killed in this war. War, that's what war is, ladies and gentlemen. War is not handing out bread and soup and helping people get across the border. Soldiers are not trained for that. They're trained to tear things up, blow things up, and kill people. That's what the military is about. When you hear the words of a war, you hear about a war and you think about, video game. We got a video game generation or a war movie that's over in less than 2 hours. No, this is real. Bombs are blowing up, bullets are flying, people are dying. Okay? And that's a very real war. But don't mistake the fact that war and the rumors of what's happening in China are distractions from some of the other things that are happening. One of the things that's happening at the same time that the G7 is going on is the Bilderbergs. Now, for so long, people thought the Bilderbergs was just some made-up conspiracy theory. But here's the reality. The Bilderbergs have been meeting for many, many years, for decades. And they are one of the most prolific secret societies. They operate almost in the same way that the World Economic Forum operates. But right now, watch this. The world elites, just like when they go to Davos, the world elites scheme at secretive annual Bilderberg meeting. Listen to the people that are going to be at this secretive meeting. Stacey Abrams. Remember, she run for governor, about 10 times now. Stacey Abrams, the CEO of ChatGPT AI, which of course we'll talk about tonight, and Microsoft chiefs are there. So the CEO of Microsoft, the CEO of ChatGPT, the leading AI technology in the world, Stacey Abrams, candidate for governor, voice for the woke culture, the CEO of Pfizer. You heard about Pfizer lately? Has Pfizer been in the news the last 3 years? Pfizer CEO, Albert Bourla, for closed-door meetings on U.S. leadership. What? These people are meeting in secret at the Bilderbergs. No public is allowed, no press is allowed, no cameras are allowed, no microphones are allowed, and these CEOs are meeting to discuss the leadership of the United States of America. Key leadership from companies like Microsoft, ChatGPT, and Google are convening with prime ministers, royalty, bank governors, army generals, and top U.S. officials at the 2023 Bilderberg meeting in Lisbon, Portugal, to strategize about global affairs. Artificial intelligence is the focus of the 69th annual secretive Bilderberg meeting. Over 130 individuals from 23 different countries will participate in the private, closed-door deliberations. The 3-day event runs this year from May 18th to 21st. ChatGPT and Microsoft chiefs join U.S. and European elites flocking to Lisbon for secretive behind closed doors Bilderberg meetings. Now watch this. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. You need to know this guy's name. This guy is unreal. Okay, what he is plotting and what he is doing and the things that he is saying about AI are terrifying. And he is the CEO of OpenAI, which is the creator of the famous ChatGPT. Also, Microsoft CEO is their former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, DeepMind CEO, which is also about AI, as well as control of the mind. World Economic Forum agenda contributor. What? Yes. U-Haul, I think they spelled his name wrong. Noah Harari. Noah Harari, our friend. Not really our friend. And PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel are among the business elites attending the strategic meeting on artificial intelligence. This year's guest list, which is by invitation only. Did you get an invite? I didn't get an invite. Also includes establishment politicians like twice failing Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, and then it goes on to say Biden's. Here's my question. Why is the United States administration's Biden's director of national intelligence, Avril Haines, why are they there? Ukrainian foreign minister Dmytro Kuleba, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, what? He's still alive? He's 99 years old, by the way. He's about to turn 100. He is the originator. He's outlived all these. He was alive before all these secret societies started. Not all of them. NATO leader Jens Stoltenberg, Pfizer CEO, and Total Energy CEO Patrick Moon. Look at all these people. It says Kissinger will turn 100 on May 27th. That's this week. This week. While he is there, he will be just about 100 years old. There he is. There he is. He's 99 years old and still going to these secretive meetings. This is insane, y'all. This is insane. It is important to know, however, that some of the more high-level participants of the Bilderberg meetings are not listed. This is the most key part of this entire report. That some of the more high-level participants of the Bilderberg meetings are not listed and are hidden from the public. Well, the ones that we know of are shocking. Who are the ones that we don't know about? They operate under something known as the Chatham House Rules, which state that participants are, quote, free to use the information received, but neither the identity nor the affiliation of the speakers or participants can be revealed, according to the Bilderberg website. It's shrouded in mystery and clandestine talks being held behind closed doors and are subject to these rules. And of course, over time, this has sparked conspiracy theories. What's what it says? Similar to those leveled against high-level meetings like the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. You think? You think? Yeah, we do that. We level those attacks against them because what we're leveling is true. It's not a conspiracy. It's fact. Of course, I'll get flagged when I say this right here. By those who claim attendees are seeking to establish a new world order. However, the event's organizers say that the discrete nature of it is simply to allow for greater freedom of discussion. Oh. Well, I feel better now. I feel better now that it's not about secretive ways of finding out how to destroy more lives and how to control more people. It's just to make people feel more free to talk openly because of the secrecy. Well, I wonder if one of the things that they might be talking about is this. Former CDC director, Center for Disease Control director, Robert Redfield, says for the second time, this is the second time that he's gone on record, that the coming bird flu will be, not maybe, will be the next great wah, wah, wah. See, I mixed it up. All my technical, see, I don't have my little board here in my hotel room, so I have to make it up. Wah, wah, wah. The wah, wah. He says, quote, I told you that the great pandemic is coming. Oh, I said it. Oh, God, I said it. Please, you too. It was an accident. Please, you too. Please. I beg of you, powers at Google, forgive me. I told you that the great wah wah is coming. the great wang is coming, it's going to be a bird flu virus that is manipulated to be able to transmit human to human, very similar to what we saw with C, capital C, D, end in D. Dr. Robert Redfield, the former director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention under the Trump administration, reaffirmed his belief that COVID-19 was merely lightweight in comparison to the next great, I can say this word, pandemic, that he says is coming, which he believes to be the avian bird flu. Over 1 year ago, the Wine Press, which is where we're getting this reported interview with Redfield, had said on TBN, Christian Broadcasting Network, of what we're talking about. He said, I think we have to recognize, as I've always said, that I think the pandemic was a wake-up call. You think? Not the way he's saying it, but I think it was a wake-up call for a lot of people. I don't know about you, but if it was a wake-up call to you, let me know in the live chat or let me know in the comments down below if the wank finally woke you up and realized, if I don't do something, if I don't stand for my freedom, if somebody don't speak out now, we're going to lose everything. He said it was a wake-up call, but I don't believe it was the great pandemic. I believe the great pandemic is still in the future, and that's going to be a bird flu pandemic for man. It's going to have a significant mortality rate in the rate of 10 to 50% range. That's unreal. You realize the wank we just came through was way less than 1%. It was like point something, not even 1% fatality rate. But he's saying this is going to have a 10 to 50% mortality rate. And we should get prepared for it. I do believe that the pandemic risk is a greater risk of the national security of the United States more than North Korea, China, Russia, Iran. And we ought to start investing proportional to the national security risk so that we're prepared. So he says, but unfortunately, we're not any more prepared than we was for the last one when it hit. And of course, he's a proponent of the wank, the wank. So if you ever hear me say the wank, I mean, that could mean anything. Are y'all having as much fun as I am? I'm missing my baby. I'm missing Sandy. Are y'all missing Sandy? Comment and let me know if y'all missing Sandy. I appreciate you staying with me and loving me. I don't know, but I just miss her. I just miss her because I feel lost without her here, and I think y'all probably do as well. So, all right. So let's move on to more and more things that people are saying to try to scare you. We just got through talking about the next great wank coming. Well, y'all know this guy, right? All right, this is the leader of the World Health Organization. Guess where it's based? Geneva, Switzerland. You need to watch my video on the portal of hell being in Switzerland. Williams, WHO, World Health Organization, warns of 9 million more annual deaths from climate change. Climate change. Not a wank. Climate change. I'm sure it won't be long that I'll have to say wank in place of climate, because that's the next lockdown that's coming, the next emergency declaration that's going to lock things down, the dangers of climate. The World Health Organization, WHO, warns in a report released Friday that rising temperatures could lead to more than 9 million additional deaths each year by the end of the century. The WHO has been criticized for its close ties to the Chinese Communist Party, declared in its annual World Health Statistics report that climate change continues to degrade the environment and social determinants of physical and mental health, imposing enormous risk to us all. Climate change is one of the greatest health changes of the 21st century, the WHO alleges. Quote, as climate conditions change, we are witnessing more frequent and intensifying weather and climate events such as storms, extreme heat, flood, droughts, and wildfires. All aspects of health are affected by climate change, from clean air to water, soil to food systems and livelihoods. Further delay in tackling climate change will increase health risks, undermine decades of improvement in global health and contravene our collective commitments to ensure the human right to health to all. And he goes on to say that under the high emissions scenario, if something doesn't change, if we don't all go to electric cars of which we cannot charge because electric manufacturers and electric companies are being shut down, but I digress. There could be over 9 million climate-related deaths each year by the end of the century. In its knee-jerk climate alarmism, fails to consider a number of scientific facts that undermine its apocalyptic prognosis for the planet, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to bore you with all of this. Here's the bottom line. They've been saying this for years. I remember, and I'm not denying that there might be something going on, okay? But when I was in high school, I'm an old man. When I was in high school, the ozone layer. Remember when they started attacking hairspray, okay? Y'all remember that? What was that, ladies? What was that hairspray y'all used in the 80s? What was it? Something net, hair net or something? I forgot what it was. I mean, it was that thick stuff. I mean, when my mom would spray that on her hair, as she'd get her hair did, she'd spray stuff on her hair, and it'd be like a fog would just come in my house. Me and my brother would be, so yeah. But we can't have aerosols anymore. Then they started attacking styrofoam cups and styrofoam plates, and then they started attacking air conditions and changing Freon and all this kind for the ozone. Well, guess what? The ozone, nothing really changed a whole lot about the ozone. I mean, it got better, but we don't know if it got better because there's still styrofoam cups out there. People still got hairspray. Okay, but then it moved on to this thing and this thing. It wasn't long ago, we was going to have a new ice age, and then it was global warming. I remember that global warming. Well, when was the last time you heard somebody say global warming? Nobody says global warming anymore because global warming made us think that the temperature is going to just really raise. Well, they're not doing what they said was going to happen in global warming, so they went to something called climate change. And when it's called climate change, you know what that means? That means anything that happens in the climate, anything. If it's too cold, it's because of climate change. If it's too hot, it's because of climate change. If it's right there in the middle, like Goldilocks, just right, don't get too used to this because climate change is going to change it all. Well, we just heard that one of the things he said, the WHO said, was it's going to affect the food supply, like he's really worried about our food supply. Remember, the World Health Organization wants us to eat the bugs. You will eat the bugs. No more meat. But look at this. Well, imagine that. Bill Gates. How we going to ever make it through a show without talking about Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft? Bill Gates funded, there's a company called Appeal. If you're listening to this instead of watching it, you're thinking about appeal like appealing to somebody. And that's what they're making a play off of. But it's actually spelled A-P-E-E-L, like a peel, like peeling an apple or peeling an orange. Bill Gates funded this company called Appeal and just got approved, is now allowed to lace toxic chemicals on all food and still be considered organic. Appeal can now take fundamental additives used in many processing foods and put those additives onto any basic produce item. And it opens the door to turning every food into processed food. Listen to this. If you're out there and you like to eat organic, heads up. Alert, alert, alert. You trying to buy organic for health reasons? Your grocery trip just got a lot more complicated. An engineered coating called Appeal, made of mono and diglycerides, can now be applied to any produce sold in the U.S. while still being advertised as organic. Appeal was developed by a company called Appeal Sciences, which the Associated Press has acknowledged received early funding from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The AP story reported on some confusion concerning Appeal food coating product of Appeal Sciences because a UK product with the same name has been known to have potentially damning human health consequences. Don't eat plastified produce. It's another Gates project. So you see that shiny coating? Now watch this. Listen to this. The AP story takes pains to push the Appeal Sciences contention concerning their food coatings products that it's safe, since it contains ingredients the FDA allows in food like baby formulas. Think about this. The fact is, mono and diglycerides, the ingredients in the Appeal food coating meant to extend the freshness of foods, are very common ingredients in many processed foods. But what the deceptively termed AP fact check story in similar recent mainstream media articles defending Appeal as a safe product don't fairly or fully examine is the fact that consumers have difficult expectations of understanding when buying whole organic foods as opposed to processed food products. And then finally, it says the real controversy surrounding Appeal is that the FDA is allowing the product to be used on produce while still allowing the produce to be designated as organic. Now, I would be interested to know how many people is watching our show tonight that eats organic food or tries, and I'm not talking about you growing it, making it your own organic. That's really the only way you can be organic nowadays is grow your own food. But if you shop and you look for that organic label, how does that make you feel now to know that the FDA has made it approved that they can coat this, which is basically like a plastic coating to make it shiny and preserve it, and still label it organic? That's just wild to me. That's the world we're living. But it's just another thing. Case in point, talk a lot about food tonight because you gotta have food to survive, y'all. And the elite know that. The powers that be know that. Remember, Sandy brought us the term that many of the elite refer to us as useless eaters. Useless eaters. In other words, they want to keep the good food for themselves, and as long as we're around, they got to have some kind of processed food. You've on this channel, and probably many of you on your own research has heard the term CRISPR. CRISPR isn't crispy, okay? I had a chicken sandwich today. It was crispy. It wasn't CRISPR, although might have been. That chicken might have been genetically altered. I'm just going to say. Gene-edited CRISPR salads headed to American and Canadian restaurants. We're proud to be bringing the first CRISPR, and I'll tell you what CRISPR is in just a minute, food product to the United States. We set out to solve an important problem. What's the important problem? That most lettuce is not nutritious, and other types of greens are just too bitter or too hard to eat. So how do we fix that? Here's how we fix it. You kids don't want to eat their greens? Well, then we're going to make their greens taste like Lucky Charms. Wouldn't that be cool as a kid? Go back to your childhood when your mom and dad said, eat your spinach, but your spinach tastes like Fruit Loops? I'm just saying. A Durham startup pioneering the use of gene editing technology known as CRISPR is shipping its first products to the market in what is also a first for the emerging CRISPR industry. Notice the pattern here. The emerging AI industry, the emerging robotic industry, the emerging mRNA technology industry, and now we have an emerging CRISPR industry. Pairwise announced Tuesday that its conscious greens, so our greens now have a conscious, or it helps us have a better conscious because we're eating them, and are shipping to restaurants in partnership with the Performance Food Group, which operates in the U.S. and Canada before going into wider distribution at stores. The company also points out its foods are reviewed by the USDA. And can I just say that used to mean something when you see that stamp, USDA approved, don't mean anything anymore. Before entering the market and meet or exceed all FDA and state food health regulations. That's not all the food in the pipeline. Conscious Foods has new varieties. New varieties of leafy greens, seedless berries, and pitless cherries. How convenient. Our first products are flavorful, nutrient-dense salad greens, the company said. And the company has plenty of backing. Pairwise has drawn more than $200 million in investment capital and also has a multi-year collaboration agreement with the Bayer Crop Science. That's also Bayer aspirin, valued at $100 million. So it goes on to say how excited they are. And it says CRISPR, if you want to know what CRISPR is short for, this is a weird long name here, clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats. Okay? No wonder they just call it CRISPR. Can you imagine if they had to say that every time? But what it really means is gene altering and gene editing. It's defined by the National Human Genome Research Institute as, quote, a technology that research scientists use to selectively modify the DNA of living organisms. I got something to say about that. Stay with me for just a minute. As part of this effort, Pairwise has developed new varieties of leafy greens, vegetables, Brussels sprouts, cauliflowers, and kale. I mean, don't you want to eat your kale, but you're like, kale tastes horrible. We can fix that with CRISPR. Well, let me ask you a question. If they can make kale taste like an oatmeal cream pie or sweet tea, that's so sweet it tastes like syrup. They can make kale taste like that. Wouldn't that be a great idea? But wait a minute. What if you take a 55-year-old man whose bones seem to crack a little bit when he walks across the floor? When he gets down on his knees to pray, it's hard to get back up sometimes because he's 55 years old. But why not use CRISPR technology to alter his DNA? Turn back the clock. Make a 55-year-old Larry have the knees of a 30-year-old, the knees of a 20-year-old. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Wouldn't it be a great idea then, when you find out that you're pregnant, to be able to alter the DNA? Do you think there's anybody thinking, I wanted a boy, but the sonar says it's a girl? Well, I think my girl that's in my womb really identifies as a boy. I can tell by the way they're kicking that my girl is really a boy. So therefore, let's use CRISPR technology to go in there and change everything about their DNA. I probably lost half the audience just then. This is real stuff. I'm being funny to try to lessen the blow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is happening. They are altering our food. They are altering our air. They are altering our water. They are altering our economy. They are altering our medications. They are altering our minds. They are altering our DNA. But you know what? They're not altering theirs. They're not altering their food. They're not altering their water. They're not eating bugs. At the World Economic Forum, in the meeting, at the last Davos meeting, that they were talking about introducing bugs to be eaten in the world, they were serving meat to the participants. That's the people that the world is following their narrative. Continuing on this food thing, and then we're going to go in a different direction. You still with me? Smash that like button. We appreciate you so much for those that subscribe and for those that like. Nothing helps us more for you to like and to subscribe. We need to get that subscriber count way up, and we need to share this channel. Well, let's look at this next article, and this will be the last one we talk about food here, but there's a lot of stuff going on about food. New York is now, it says it will track residents' food purchases and place caps on meat served by public institutions. What? New York City will begin tracking the carbon footprint of household food consumption and putting caps on how much red meat can be served in public institutions as part of a sweeping initiative to achieve a 33, there you go, Sandy, 33% reduction in carbon emissions from food by ding, 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 ding. Imagine that, 2030. When are you going to wake up and realize everybody's saying the same thing and they're all trying to get us there by 2030? New York's already said you can't have a gas stove. New York's already said even restaurants, new restaurants cannot have a gas stove. Now they're going to tell you can't have meat. New York City says they're doing this because they're tracking the carbon footprint. Think about what they're saying. The carbon footprint of household food consumption based on how much red meat. Mayor Eric Adams and representatives from the Mayor's Office of Food Policy and Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice announced the new programs last month at the Brooklyn Culinary Center run by New York Health and Hospitals, the city's public health care systems, just before Earth Day. At the event, the Mayor's Office in Climate Justice shared a new chart to be included in the city's annual greenhouse gas inventory that publicly tracks the carbon footprint created by household food consumption. The city already produced emissions data from energy use, transportation, and waste as part of the annual inventory, but the addition of household food consumption, I can't even believe I'm reading this. I can't even believe I'm reading this, that this has actually been said by a mayor of the largest city in America. But the addition of household food consumption data is part of a partnership that London and New York launched, all these different organizations. And it says Agarwala, who founded Google's Smart City subsidiary, I can't say that word, Sidewalk Labs, celebrated the expanded data collection as forging a new standard for what cities have to do and a new shape policy. Now, I'll read this last paragraph and I got a comment to make. He said the inventory also will measure greenhouse gas pollution from the production and consumption of other consumer foods like apparel, whether or not those items are made in New York City. It also tracks emissions tied to services like air travel and healthcare. I want you to understand that they said they're tracking the food consumption, and then they're going to track the carbon footprint. The mayor of New York City says the next thing they're going to track is the carbon footprint of your clothing, of your shirt, of your jacket, of your socks. It has a carbon footprint. What? This is unreal, ladies and gentlemen. This is not conspiracy theory. This is fact. This is the world we live in. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for not leaving us. Staying on the environment, moving away from food. This one right here. Wow. They're so proud of this. They are so proud in the great state of California. California introduces the world's first electric fire truck. I gotta get some sweet tea. Wow. Good God. That's sweet. No telling the footprint of this. The carbon footprint of this. My goodness. The first electric fire truck in the United States has arrived in Los Angeles. This is not a parody site. This is not the Babylon Bee. The Los Angeles Fire Department took delivery of the truck on May 14th. It will be deployed by the Los Angeles Fire Department Station 82 in Hollywood. Boy, that's just figures, don't it? In Hollywood. The department said in press release, the fire department announced plans to buy an electric fire truck from Austrian firm Rosenbauer in 2020. The RTX is actually, listen to this, the fine print here, is actually a range extended electric vehicle. This is almost unbelievable irony. It's a range extended electric vehicle with a diesel engine acting as a generator to charge the 132 kilowatt battery pack. So it's called the world's first electric fire truck. But the electric fire truck has to have a diesel powered engine and generator. The BMW Source 3.0 liter inline six. It's got an inline six in it, and it's a fire truck. What? Kicks on when the charge drops to 20%. It can reduce the battery pack, can recharge the battery pack, in 45 minutes, according to Rosenberg. The propulsion is handled by a pair of electric motors. One powers each axle, giving the RTX all-wheel drive. Together, they have a continuous output of 350 horsepower and a peak output of 490 horsepower. The truck is also equipped with adjustable air suspension that permits a 19-inch ground clearance, blah, blah, blah. Here it is in action. Looks like a school bus putting out a fire to me. The battery pack is divided into two modules. One is located on the floor. Similar to many electric cars, the other is positioned vertically behind the cab. The packaging flexibility of the electrified powertrain. But let's just watch this video.
This is a historical day. The LEFD signed an agreement to become the first fire department in North America to purchase an all-electric fire engine from Rosenbauer.
It's an historic day. They're so proud.
So we are beaming with pride, as you can see, to be able to add this fire engine to our fleet. This engine, electric engine, has many benefits, and first and foremost, it will reduce noise. And one of the main things when we talk about our firefighter health and overall well-being, it'll reduce.
Ladies and gentlemen, you didn't hear what she just said. That's what she said. One of the main things that we talk about at the fire department is the health of our firefighters. That's a good thing. But what she means is they are endangering the life of their firefighters by having them to breathe the emissions from a diesel power fire truck.
And bring it basically to nothing in regard to diesel emissions. And that's a very important piece, at least from my perspective, that we are actually going to create the space for our firefighters to be healthier around our fire engines. I also want to stress
they're going into burning buildings, okay, with smoke everywhere. They have oxygen. They're putting their lives on the line, risking their lives in a fire. But one of the most important things is that on the way there, from the fire hall to the fire, they may breathe air coming from the engine of the fire engine.
The importance of, our tools are only as good as the people who operate them. So I wanted to shout out to our amazing professional firefighters that do their jobs and do it very, very well. I'm extremely proud of our workforce.
It looks like a Tonka. What?
And we're going to lean into the future.
Going to lean into the future. The fire department hasn't confirmed plans for additional fire trucks. Says that such vehicles will be operating in North America. Said expected 400 such vehicles to be operating in North America by 2025 and 3,200 by 2030. They always keep bringing that back up, 2030. So here's the thing. In North America, there's going to be 400 fire engines that's battery powered. Welcome to the New World Order. Yep, and I just got flagged again. So while all this is happening, people are suffering. People are dying all around the world from conditions that are brought on by this. And there's so much focus on this, and you don't hear about any of this on your local news. None of this on the local news. Well, you know what else you haven't heard? I bet you haven't heard this. Some of you may have heard this. But in Germany, let me show you what's happening in Germany. Germany has made plans to ban the sale of wood to the public as part of World Economic Forum's Save the Planet initiative. Firewood. Germany has officially banned the sale of wood to ordinary citizens as part of the radical WEF initiative to save the planet. The banning of wood comes as part of the WEF-led plan, strip citizens of choice, comfort, and mobility, and coincides with Germany's plan to completely phase out oil and gas systems next year. So they're taking away fuel to heat your homes, and now they're taking away the sale of firewood. As gas prices skyrocketed, many German households recently opted for wood heat, like we've been doing for the existence of humanity. Wood heat by using firewood or pellets. This week, in a devastating blow to citizens, the government announced that wood, WOOD, would be outlawed next year alongside the sale of gas and oil. From 2024, it will no longer be permitted to heat new buildings with wood. If an existing system has to be retrofitted or replaced, buffer storage, fine dust filters, and an alternative heat source such as solar thermal system or photovoltaics must be installed. This is provided for in the federal government's draft for the new version of the Building Energy Act. There will only be a few exceptions. There will only be a few exceptions. What kind of world, what kind of country takes away natural gas, takes away the ability to heat with propane and natural gas, and then says, starting next year, you will not be able to heat your home in the winter with firewood. But you can spend a ton of money and retrofit your house that could have been built over 100 years ago. Germany's an old country, with a solar panel that will somewhat knock the chill off. What is wrong with people? And the crazy thing is, people are lining up to say, "Whoa, what a great idea!" I'm not talking about the people from a distance. I'm talking about the people that lives there. I'm talking about the people that trying to heat their homes. They're like, I'll sacrifice. I'll make my children freeze to death. We'll just get an extra blanket for the sake of. Do you think they're going to do that in Washington, D.C.? You think they're going to do that in Frankfurt, Germany? In the elites' homes? In the governmental buildings? Do you think when they're in their meeting and making their laws that they're not going to be heated? This is the world we're living in. If you didn't have the big picture, Paul Begley and some other shows out there like this, you would have no idea that this is happening in our world. We're being distracted by Taylor Swift concert and Beyonce concert and who said this in the NBA and who said this in the NFL, while people are freezing to death. Ladies and gentlemen, and then we get to the part that I have to cover, that I don't want to cover. I don't want to talk about this. But if I don't talk about it, you won't know about it. Now, some of this you know about this because this made mainstream news. But Target, you need to understand something about Target. Okay? Target is an evil organization. They're all evil. But the people at the top, I'm not talking about the people that work at Target. I'm not talking about the people that work at the distribution centers. I'm talking about the people at the top of Target. They are unashamed. Remember, they were the ones way back. They went there first. They made people of any gender allowed to go in any bathroom they wanted to. They made it very clear. Pushed back on it. Well, that sort of died down. The boycott and all that, didn't really work that well. So people started going back to Target. And so Target felt empowered. Now they're being slammed after offering, I got to watch how I say this because I'm going to get flagged, priority flag. Target slammed after offering female swimsuits that have an extra midriff coverage. And they are tuck friendly. What? Retail giant Target is again under fire from customers after offering tuck friendly and extra something coverage female swimsuits for sale. The swimsuits in question are part of Target's Pride collection and are described as having been, quote, thoughtfully fit on multiple body types and gender expressions. A woman's bathing suit has been thoughtfully built and fit for multiple body styles, not multiple women's body styles. Maybe a little bit larger here, a little bit smaller, a little overweight, a little underweight, a little right in the middle. No, it's not about size, weight, height. They've been fitted for what the Lord gave you or what he didn't. The swimsuit sparked backlash on social media, with several people saying that they would never shop at Target again. In addition to the female swimwear designed to accommodate the male wah-wah, the Target Pride collection includes small shirts with phrases like, "Just be you and feel the love," Pride-themed onesies, as well as rainbow-colored leggings, tutu skirts, and jumpers. This one here says, Citizen Free Press says Target is about to become Bud Light 2.0.
Target, because I heard that their new Pride collection was out. So let's take a look. This is a special swimsuit. It is invented for tucking. Live, laugh, lesbian. Are they amoebas? These don't even look like people. Queer. This right here. These are baby clothes. They say that grooming isn't happening. Then why are there Pride baby onesies? Trans people will always exist. This is the ugliest shirt I've ever seen. I don't care if you're queer. Why would you wear this? This is ugly. Kids going to a pride parade. You got a little pride skirt for your kid. Super queer. It's like a superpower. Honestly, Target, what is going on? This is pretty disgusting. A whole collection for Pride. The tucking bathing suit, though. This is something new. I have yet to see a bathing suit that is for tucking. Target.
Unreal. So there's more and more that I could say, but I can't say, because if I said it, the very ones that are promoting it would flag me for saying it. What about that irony? That the very ones that are pushing the agenda doesn't want me to even tell you about their agenda that they're so excited about. Interesting. But the one thing that you need to know, and remember what you just saw, is there's onesies. There's little tiny clothes that they can wear home from the hospital, or when they're not even able to roll over, let alone crawl, promoting the alphabet agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. Wake up. Scream from the rooftops. Go in Target. Be nice. Be nice, but go in Target. And if you see that section around here in other states, you know what's happening? People are rising up, and I'm seeing pictures of Target cleaning out several stores are cleaning out this whole entire Pride section even before Pride Month gets here, because people have been voicing their concerns. Voice your concerns. This is not about you saying that an adult doesn't have a right to do, whether it's sin or not, and we know it is sin. That's not what it's about. It's about the children. This is sickening. So go stand up for the children. Okay? Moving on. New York City's got a lot of problems. You know, one of the big problems that New York City's got? Crime. But Mayor Adams has got the solution, y'all. He's got the solution. Here we go. Y'all ready? Here's the solution to shoplifting. You're going to love this one. Shoplifting has become such a crisis in New York City, with recent numbers showing a 44% jump in incidences in just 2022. Mayor Adams said repeat offenders were behind a third of those thefts last year. Wonder why? Because they don't prosecute them. And they're rolling out a new plan to tackle the issue. You're going to love this. 250 people in 2023 have been arrested almost 2,500 times. I want you to think about what I just read. He said, Michael LaPetrie, the NYPD's chief of crime control strategy, says there's 250 people in our system. Just in 2023, that's this year, just now May, at the end of May, have been arrested almost 2,500 times again. That's 30%. Who are these people? 52% of convicted felons. The new crackdown includes, here's how they're going to crack down on shoplifting. The new crackdown laws includes giving first-time offenders intervention programs instead of prosecution. Going to put them in retraining, train their minds. Shoplifting, bad. Shoplifting, bad. Instead of prosecution, but this one really gets me. De-escalation training for retail employees. In other words, teaching employees how to let them take it and get it out of the store and then call 911. But this one gets me. Not this, right? Establishing neighborhood retail watch groups to share information. Like you have a neighborhood watch program, now you got to have a neighborhood store watch program to share information about a theft in real time with one another and the police. And here's the big one. And installing kiosks in stores to connect would-be thieves with social service programs. What? So when people come in and they're about to steal, they won't steal because they realize stealing is a source of a different problem for them. They just need to deal with themselves. They'll be standing there in the store. They was going to get those shoes, but no, something. It's a bigger issue. I'm facing something bigger. So they're going to use this kiosk to access social services. Retired NYPD Lieutenant Commander and Detectives Ralph Salento said it ain't gonna happen. And that is, he's doing that specifically to satisfy his liberal base, which I understand he has to do. Goes on to say shoplifters need to be caught and prosecuted. That's the end game. I never dreamed that I would live in a world that would say, you remember when you was a kid? I mean, I don't know how old some of you are, but when I was a kid, you go into the bathroom at Walmart, or hey, I'm really going to date some of y'all because y'all ain't got a clue what I'm about to talk about. Woolworth or Zare. Look at what I just did. You go in one of them stores and you go in the bathroom and there'd be signs in the bathroom that says, shoplifting is a crime and all shoplifters will be prosecuted. Do you remember those signs? Well, those signs are gone now. And in New York City, not only do they have signs, they might have a sign that says, listen, if you're in this bathroom and you're putting those shoes on and you're about to steal them, take a moment, look at me, take a moment and think about the bigger issue. We know why you're stealing those shoes. You're stealing those shoes because you need shoes. So put the shoes back, and there's a kiosk out in the sports section. Stop by the kiosk and put in your information and register. And someone from social services will contact you and help try to find you resources from different organizations that will help you so that you do not have to steal shoes anymore. That's what I just read. That's literally what I just read is actually happening. Are you still with me? If you're still with me out there, smash that like button. Help me out. Help a brother out. Help a brother. I'm sitting in a hotel room in Orlando, Florida by myself. Look at this. Look at this. I throw this up here. I know. Look, she's not there. Sandy's not there. Where is she? Sandy, come back. She's not there. It didn't work out tonight. Technology. Okay? I'm in Orlando. She's in Birmingham. She'll be joining me this week, by the way. If you didn't already know, I'm in Orlando because I just released my brand new book. I've got pre-sale. If you'll notice, it said advanced copy, not for sale. Let me get in here so y'all can see a good shot of this. That's some beautiful colors, y'all. This is my new book. It will be available. There'll be a pre-order link where you can pre-order that link coming up pretty soon. You'll be the first ones to know about it when it goes live. But she'll be down here with me, and I'll be doing interviews throughout the week, meeting a bunch. Which, by the way, I've already done some cool interviews. Check this out, y'all. Let me show you this. Look what I got. I got a microphone I've been walking around in my pocket with, and I've been running into some people that I saw one guy that I follow on Instagram, Phil Cook. If you're watching Phil Cook, you said you're going to watch my show. I share his stuff a lot, and I saw him on the elevator, and I was going to the parking deck, and I said, hey, I know you. Can I interview you? I was like a reporter. I stuck this in, and I interviewed him. That show will be coming up soon. How cool is that? How cool is that? Well, what kind of show, what Big Picture Live without AI? AI is everywhere. We led by telling you the Bilderbergers are meeting, Bilderbergers, the Bilderbergs are meeting in a secret, undisclosed location, or they know where the location is, but the clientele is secretive. And one of the things we're talking about is AI. Now watch this. These are just a couple of articles that I found that came out this week. This is from Science News. Better than humans. Artificial intelligence is a better doctor. This is what they're saying. Artificial intelligence is already a better doctor than your doctor. An artificial intelligence developed by TU Wien out of Vienna can suggest appropriate treatment steps in cases of blood poisoning. The computer has already surpassed humans in this respect. With the help of extensive data from intensive care units of various hospitals, an artificial intelligence was developed that provides suggestions for the treatment of people who require intensive care due to sepsis. Analysis shows that artificial intelligence already surpasses the quality of human decisions. In the future, artificial intelligence will play an important role in medicine. In diagnostics, successful tests have already been performed. For example, the computer can learn to categorize images with great accuracy according to whether they show pathological changes or not. However, it is more difficult to train an artificial intelligence to examine the time-varying conditions of patients and to calculate treatment suggestions. This is precisely what has now been achieved at TU Wien in cooperation with the Medical University of Vienna. So notice that it says it already had been doing all these other things, but it had not been able to analyze time-varying conditions until now. I actually watched a video earlier today, and I forgot the name of this test. There's a test that doctors take, and AI has now successfully continued to get a 90 or better score on this test. And almost every doctor in the world, no matter how good that doctor is, has never achieved the 90 on this test. But on a medical test that doctors have to take to become doctors, AI is surpassing doctors already, and is already considered to be a better doctor and decider of medical information for you. Did you notice in that article? Suggestions of what to ingest, suggestions of what to take when you have sepsis, which is poison or infection or poison in your bloodstream. Well, do you really want to live in a world that the same system that is, listen to what I'm saying, the same system that is going to make a medical decision for you or your loved one on what needs to go in that IV to reverse the poison that's in your body is the same system that you have an avatar of yourself in, that they know everything about you. They know what you post on social media. They know what videos you watch. They know who you follow on Twitter. They know what organizations you're a part of. And if your social score does not match what it needs to match, or if your public stance on issues is not lined up with the WEF's narrative or the WHO's narrative or this narrative or that narrative, the same system that has all that data is the same system that's going to decide what to put in that IV. Have you watched Terminator? Have you watched some of these movies? Because guess what? When they're analyzing and they pull up Larry Joe Ragland, has a show that speaks out against me all the time. He has poison in his body. I suggest you give him Drano or something like that. Well, this is, oh God, I can't believe I just said that. Horrible. But there are woke doctors and nurses that, quite frankly, many of them are lazy and they don't want to do the research themselves. They're going to look over there and going to be like, let me see. Okay. Okay. So release. Hit the button. Beep. I don't know what happened, sir. I don't know what happened, ma'am. We were trying. No, AI made the decision. AI made the decision. Life and death decision in the ER or in intensive care based on data, based on analysis. And they're trying to tell us based on incredible data and analysis that would never do us any harm, but it's the same system that is tracking us and knowing everything about us. Wow. And that's what the Bilderberg's meeting is about. And the CEO of ChatGPT, OpenAI, and the CEO of Microsoft, and the former CEO of Google go on and on and on, are all meeting in secret. What in the world do you think they're talking about? Here's another article. I got 2 more articles. We'll wind this thing down tonight. Artificial intelligence. Powerful AI systems can't be controlled and are causing harm, says UK expert. Professor Stuart Russell was among more than 1,000 experts who recently signed an open letter calling for a pause in the development of systems even more capable of OpenAI that I just discussed, ChatGPT's 4, the successor of ChatGPT. ChatGPT 4 is unreal and 5 is coming soon. The computer expert basically says, I'm not going to play this video, we can't control. I'll tell you what, I'm going to play a little bit of it. If I can get it to work.
I signed it because I think it needs to be said that we don't understand how these systems work. We don't know what they're capable of, and that means that we can't control them. We can't get them to behave themselves. And we need time to develop the regulations that will make sure that the systems are beneficial to people rather than harmful. So there's a distinction between the systems that already exist. And I think one of the biggest concerns is disinformation and deepfakes. We've had disinformation for a long time, right? I mean, propaganda and all that. But the difference here is I can now ask GPT-4 to read all about Sophie Ridge's social media presence, everything Sophie Ridge has ever said or written, all about Sophie Ridge's friends, and then just begin a campaign gradually by adjusting your news feed, maybe occasionally sending some fake news along into your news feed so that you're a little bit less.
Did you hear that? Occasionally sending some fake news into your news feed to take you in a direction that it will be able to justify its decision.
Supportive of Ukraine. And you start pushing harder on politicians who say we should support Ukraine in the war against Russia and so on. That will be very easy to do. And the really scary thing is that we could do that to 1 million different people before lunch. And so you can have a huge impact with these systems for the worse by manipulating people in ways that they don't even realize is happening.
Wow. 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 We could do that to 1 million people like that before lunch. So it goes on to say, speaking to Sky's Sophie Ridge, Professor Russell said, I signed this agreement because I think it needs to be said that we don't understand how these systems work. We don't know what they're capable of. That means we cannot control them. We can't get them to behave themselves. Lord have mercy. Oh, you people, oh, you believe that Bible, you believe that fake stuff, that fake stuff, that fake stuff. This Bible, 2,000 years ago, told us about this. Don't be giving me that. Don't be coming at me. You don't want to come at me. You don't want to come at me. The Bible has been talking about this It's been in print for 2,000 years, and we are living it. Speaking of the end times, this is my last thing I got here that I want to show you. Do you remember not long ago, it's been a couple of months ago, a few months ago, I did a show about the red heifers that came to Israel. And I actually had Paul Begley on the show with me, and we were discussing the significance of end times prophecy, that after all these years, I mean, I'm talking about 1,000 years, they have been found perfect red heifers. They were found in America, and they were flown. It was a big deal. They were flown to Israel. They were underage. They made a big deal. They was blowing the shofars and everything when they brought them off of the crates of the plane in Jerusalem. And they've been taken care of in an off-site farm. Well, they've got it down to 5. I believe it's 5. It may be 4, but I believe it's 5 of them are still perfect, meaning that the Levitical law said in order for the temple to be rebuilt, this is why it's so important, the temple can only be rebuilt when there are ashes of the red heifer, which is red cows, have to be burned in a specific place on the Mount of Olives. Has to be you have to have a bird's eye view of the Holy of Holies, of the Temple Mount, on Mount of Olives, has to be within a certain age. There cannot be one white or black hair on the entire body of that cow. It has to be perfectly red. This is all Levitical law. And it has to have, well, it's not happened in thousands of years since the temple had been destroyed. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? And by the way, before y'all start blowing up on me, because some of you, every time I talk about red heifers, people comment, why do I care about the red heifer? Why do I care about the temple? That's the Jews denied Jesus. I'm a Christian. I'm in the new covenant. I know all that. But I'm not wanting to see animal sacrifice. That's not what this is about. This is about the temple. If you've been watching my teaching on the book of Revelation right now, right this coming Wednesday night, I am going to teach on the abomination of desolation when the Antichrist goes into the temple to commit the abomination of desolation and launch the second half of the tribulation period and cause all, rich or poor, to take a mark on their hand or their forehead and cause the image of the beast to speak and the mark of the beast. All that's coming in Wednesday night's teaching this week and next week. But guess what? The Bible says there's a temple in place when that happens. So when Christians get excited about the rebirth of the temple, it's not because we're excited about the Jewish people being able to have a temple to sacrifice in. We're excited because we know that means the return of Christ is soon. That means that our return to heaven to be with Jesus is soon. The rapture of the church, that Jesus is coming back soon. That's why we get excited. Look at this article, y'all. You're going to be blown away by this. The next phase. Shout out to Ricky Scaparo, endtimeheadlines.org. My brother. I love him. Love it, man of God. By the way, Ricky is going to begin to be a regular contributor to the big picture. He's going to be a once-a-month contributor where he's going to come on. He's going to comment on the day along with Paul Begley and a couple of others. But I'm very excited to announce that the owner and founder of End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo, is going to be a regular contributor here once a month on the big picture. The next phase for the red heifers in preparation for the coming third temple are being prepared. Last September, 5 red heifers arrived in Israel amid great fanfare because some Jews and Gentiles believe that red heifers are a key element leading to the building of the third Jewish temple. The heifers are now in a secure, undisclosed location in Israel. Plans involve moving them sometime soon to a visitor center in Shiloh, where the tabernacle of the Lord once stood for nearly 400 years. The book of Numbers explains that the ashes of the red heifer are used to purify priests for their service in the temple. Quote, now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, this is the ordinance of the law which the Lord God has commanded, saying, speak to the children of Israel that they bring you a red heifer without blemish, in which there is no defect on it, of which a yoke has never come. And he goes on to talk about this. But let's watch this little video from CBN. This is pretty interesting.
The 5 red heifers are now in a secure, undisclosed location in Israel. Plans include moving them sometime soon to a visitor's center in Shiloh, where the tabernacle of the Lord once stood for nearly 400 years. The book of Numbers explains that ashes of the red heifer are used to purify priests for their service in the temple.
Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord has commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Israel that they bring you a red heifer without blemish, in which there is no defect, and on which a yoke has never come.
Incredible.
You shall give it to Eleazar the priest, that he may take it outside the camp, and it shall be slaughtered before him. Its offal shall be burned, for the water of purification. It is for purifying from sin.
These red heifers are now between 1.5 to 2 years old. To replicate the ceremony mentioned in the Bible, they need to be at least 3 years old.
Listen.
And within that time span, they cannot have a blemish or anything that would disqualify them for the ceremony, even one white or black hair. According to those working on the project, the ceremony of the red heifer needs to be performed on the Mount of Olives and in a place that would have looked directly into where the...
How cool is this? I stood right there where he is standing not long ago with Pastor Paul Bigley in that direct view on this guy's land. It's amazing.
temple stood. The land I'm standing on, bought 12 years ago, fits both of those standards.
Wow.
It had to be exactly at the front, a place that the priest that made this ceremony can see the Holy of the Holy Place.
Rabbi Yitzhak Mamo owns the land here on the Mount of Olives.
And we hope that in a year and a half from today, we can make here in this area the ceremony of the red heifer. That actually will be the first step to the temple.
Mamo says the ceremony needs priests who have not been defiled by touching anything dead.
The Temple Institute actually have 9 pure priests. They didn't born in hospital, okay? They born at home because they are priests. So anyway,
Understand what they're saying. Not only do they have the red heifers, they have 9 priests who were born at home and not at a hospital, and their parents made sure as children all the way up until the age that they're now, that they've never been to a funeral, they've never been to a cemetery, they've never touched anything dead, not just a dead person. They've never touched a dead animal, they've never touched anything dead. Now, I know we're in the New Testament, we don't have to worry about all this stuff, but you got to understand we're processing this through the mind of a Jewish person who still believes the Messiah is still coming and has never come. They have not received Jesus as Messiah. So they're believing that all this stuff, they're so excited, is going to usher in the Messiah. Well, what they're not thinking about is it is, but it's not the first time the Messiah is coming. It's going to be the return of the Messiah. But right now he's talking about the pure priests that have been raised up for this moment.
anyway, they don't go to any cemetery. And the parents keep them in a situation that they will not get to any cemetery, not going to any problematic place, and they are pure, and they are waiting. So we have the priest, we have the red heifer, we have the land, and we have everything ready. We just need to wait another 1.5 years.
So we believe.
They just have to wait another 1.5 years. So sometime next year to 1.5 years from now, get this in your head. They believe that it's going to be during a Jewish feast. There are going to be the ashes of one of those red heifers in that spot that you just saw on the Mount of Olives, looking directly at the Holy of Holies, is going to be one of those or all of those 9 priests from the direct descendants of Aaron, of the Levitical priesthood. They can trace their lineage all the way back to Aaron. Will go through the ceremony of cleansing for the purpose of rebuilding the temple. Why would they do that? Why would they go ahead and do that if they did not believe that something was about to shift and happen? When we were in Israel, Sandy and I were in a room with a leading rabbi that is on the forefront of trying to rebuild the temple. When asked by the people in the room, we know you have the red heifers, we know that you have all this other stuff, but there's just one big thing that everybody knows that we need. Where is it? Do you have any idea where the Ark of the Covenant is? He didn't take a moment. He's like, that ain't nothing. We've had that for a long time. He said, I know exactly where it's at. Without hesitation. He said, I know exactly where it's at. We know exactly where it is at. It's beneath the temple, underground. So the things that I just showed you are not part of it. They are the end of it. So what does that mean? What does it look like? I have no idea. How in the world could this ever happen in the environment that we're in? It doesn't seem possible. But a lot of things does not seem possible. Think about all the stuff that I have told you about tonight. Would you have ever dreamed that we would live in a world where that even that on the evil side of the world would be possible? But yet, that was the light stuff. That was the small stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we need 3 more people to get us over 100 likes. I got 97 likes right now. So if you're watching it right now and you hadn't hit that like button, go ahead and hit it right now. If you hadn't subscribed, subscribe. And by the way, enable all notifications, because that's the only way you're going to get notified. And this week I'm going to be doing a lot of live shows, probably more than I've done in a long time. So let's hit that like button. 2 more. I got 1 more there. I need 2 more. 2 more. Can I get 2 more to get me over 100? 2 more. There they go. I don't have my laugh track like I used to. I'm clapping for you. Woohoo! Just went over 100 likes. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Now, so leave me some sweet little comments for Sandy to read, because she tried her best, but she couldn't make it. I promise you this, the next time we won't go through this. Next time I hope we're together and we're not having to do this remotely, but I'll have everything in place because we got to have my co-host. So, all right. I keep seeing people telling me go 2 hours. That's another 13 minutes, y'all. Another 13 minutes. I don't know if I can go 13 minutes, but I do want to talk about this one more time. I see greatness. This is the story of Sandy and I. In fact, I'll do this. I will read, if I can see it. This book is amazingly insightful, compelling, and uplifting read because it gives personal examples from author Larry Ragland's life, pouring out encouragement to every Christian reader at any age. This encouragement enlightens and motivates the reader to shine forth the greatness that God has put in his or her life. And basically, I'm going to give y'all a spoiler alert. Let me read this to you right here. This is just a portion. Since Sandy couldn't be with us tonight, I'll read you just a portion of Sandy's. The beginning of the book is a preface by Sandy. It's a note from Sandy. She says, I was only 18 years old. I had just recently graduated high school and only months earlier had accepted the proposal to marry the man that I loved. Spoiler alert, that's me. Like most girls, I had dreamed of being a wife and a mother one day. I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted out of life. It was a dream of a simple home, no drama. We had both graduated from the same high school in a small town. It was the kind of place where just about everyone knew everyone else, so it meant that everyone knew your business. She goes on to say, I've always been a private person. The thoughts of being the talk of the town terrified me. I would prefer that no one ever even knew my name. Boy, does God have a sense of humor. I never imagined that my plan for a quiet life would forever be changed in one day. Neither one of us knew what was happening, but as we look back on that moment, we both realized it was the day that changed everything. Larry had only told me parts of his story. I felt sorry for him because I had witnessed the pain in his face when he would reveal the wounds of his childhood. I could try to relate, but my family life was completely different. I had a great relationship with my father. Larry did not. In fact, the void in his life had shaped him. Little did I know it would shape our entire life together, too. And that's not all that she wrote. That's page 1 to whet your appetite for I See Greatness in You. As I said, this is an advanced copy, not for sale. This is a paperback. The first copy that's going to come out, and I'd love for everybody that's on this channel, when I get the pre-order, for you to pre-order it. Because when it comes out, I'm going to need some people to help me review it and help me promote it. Not not because I was just trying to get you to help me sell books, but this book will change people's lives. It will really, really change people's lives. And that's why we do what we do. So there it is. That's the cover. So y'all pray for me tomorrow. I'll be on the floor first thing in the morning. I'll be in our booth. I'll be signing copies of this book, meeting people, trying to get interviews and things like that. Who knows how it will go, but I know it's going to be great. I'll be hanging out at times with Pastor Paul. He's down here. If you watched the earlier live stream I had, I ran into him doing an interview down here. Him and Heidi are down here. And I'm going to try my best to do a show with him this week. So y'all be praying that time works out to where Pastor Paul and I can sit down and do a show together live down here in Orlando. If that works out. If it don't, I'm at least going to interview him there at the NRB. So stay tuned. Sorry, without Sandy, I didn't make it quite to 2 hours, but I got close. Thank you, everybody that's been out here with us tonight and stayed with us. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the subscribers. Thank you to all those that clicked to join. If you hadn't already did, if you believe in what we're doing, $5 a month, click that join button down below. $5 a month to sow into what we're doing. It helps us, encourages us to keep going, to keep growing our channel, to be able to buy those cool things like this. You made that happen. Thank you. This microphone that I got right here, it's got a good quality to travel with. So thank you for all your support. And there's other ways that you can give if you'd like to down in the description. But we appreciate you. Share this broadcast. Go back and watch it from the beginning if you came in late. We love you. We bless you with all of our heart. And we remind you, whether I'm by myself or with my queen, if I'm in Birmingham, Orlando, Israel, or anywhere in the world, number one, I am born again, unashamed, spirit-filled. My name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. That's the number one thing. But the number two thing is, I ain't woke, but I certainly am awake. God bless you. We'll see you this week, throughout the week, and Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central for Bible study. God bless.